So welcome to Investor Studio. This is another session that we have this week. For those of you who are tuned in, I hope you're keeping safe. I don't know today's COVID numbers yet. I haven't checked. So we're doing a slightly different format today, right? Today we have Mr. Thoo Chow Fah, who's the Executive Chairman of Notion VTec Berhad. And today we're going to do a Q4 update. Yeah. So Mr. Thoo, welcome.
Yeah. Thank you.
And of course, this segment is for you. What we're trying to do is build a platform for investors like you to actually get access to directors and management of listed companies that you can actually ask them questions as well. So how we're going to start this format for today is that Mr. Thoo will do a rundown on his latest quarterly announcement, which was announced this afternoon, right? So if you haven't yet seen it and you want to access it, you can always go to Bursa Malaysia to download his latest quarterly numbers, right? So without further ado, I'm going to pass the session on to Mr. Thoo. He's going to do his presentation, and then we're going to move on to a Q&A session, right? Now, of course, during this period, if you guys have any questions, you can post it in the comment section below. And when it comes to Q&A, that's where we will cover that part. All right.
Thank you, Elwin. Good evening, everyone. This is Q4 of my financial year 2020, ended 30th September. So we're looking through the numbers in comparison to previous quarter as well as previous year. Title of my slideshow this evening is Pivoting in Direction and Mindset, right? So that's my theme for this evening. Okay, let's go on to the financials.
Yeah.
Right. Not moving.
Cannot click.
Double here.
Take your mouse mostly.
This is not working.
Yep.
Okay. Click no.
Yep. Okay.
Okay. This is Q4. We look at the recovery in comparison to Q3, where we was increase of about 74% on revenue from 40 million to about 70 million in this quarter, and back into profitability. And we are I think there's a slight change in the PAT. I think the number is not right.
It was 6 point something.
Yeah, right? There is an adjustment there because of some accounting thing. Now, looking at the segment, on the HDD, there was an increase from 21.6 million to 24 million sales, about 11% up. Automotive, surprisingly, 128% up from 9.4 million to 21.5 million. And camera slightly up only, still around about the 2 million level. EMS sector is also another major jump, 7.1 million to 19 million, about 167%. And we have a maiden contribution from PPE, both from melt-blown face mask and a bit of nitrile glove trading. 2.9 million sales only, because we started only in ordering the equipment only in May, June, and coming in only in July. And obviously we had to go through the teething problem of setting up and to market. Okay. Now, if you look at the yearly,
Twice. Can't click.
I can't move.
Don't know why.
Yeah, not working.
Is it your mouse? Sorry about that, guys.
Yeah, sorry.
We're still experimenting with this equipment, so give us one moment.
Next one.
Yep.
Okay, we look at the financial year ending 2020 versus financial year 2019. Top line, we have recovered back to 242.3 million, compared to last year, 237.8 million, up slightly 1.9%. Both PBT and PAT and slightly down significantly actually. EBITDA 41 million versus 45 million. That's down about 9%. But if you look at the segmental information, HDD is only slightly down 1%, 401 million to 98 million. Automotive is down about 14%, 92.6 million to 79 million. And camera, obviously, structurally down, 16.6 million to 11.7 million. Now, the most energetic part of the business is the EMS sector. We have a single customer there. Despite the pandemic slowdown, in fact, we managed to rise from 27.5 million to 50.1 million. Okay, so there's a significant change. Mainly contributed by EMS this year, that resulted in the top line growing by 1.9%. So PPE has just commenced and will grow into 2021. And we'll have a look at that, okay? I will look through every segment within our business. First, I'll look at the metal business. Starting January 2021, we'll be supplying a new customer in the electric vehicle supply, aluminum extrusion and machine parts to a contract manufacturer for delivery to a major electric vehicle maker. Obviously, I can't reveal the name of the customer because of confidentiality, but it's the first start, so we expect further inroad into that segment of the business. It's done through Notion International Johor. And I report back onto Notion Thailand. We're starting a new machining business for HDD base plate, mainly for the enterprise segment, for supply to one of the top 2 HDD maker. That will underpin the growth in Thailand this year. EMS sector expected to increase in coming quarters with more tubing for the vacuum cleaners, hair dryers, hair straighteners, and some new products in the EMS sector. HDD and auto will remain steady, low-digit growth. Okay. More expansion of the aluminum extrusion business. And another new line of business we are targeting as we go into the PPE, which is the glove line that we have announced. We will be able to target glove line machine component as well as a potential. Thanks, sir.
Next.
Next, please. Yeah.
Faiz. Yep. Next slide.
Now we look at the next slide.
Yep.
Okay, the PPE outlook. We have evolved from face mask to trading and manufacture of glove. The lines for the glove lines are the groundwork. We have started piling in the factory 3 in the Meru plant. Face mask business facing challenges from export ban, limitations, government price control policy. There's some impeded execution as well. And due to intense competition and demand, our earlier projections are probably too optimistic. It will have to be reviewed again. The glove business will be the main cornerstone of the PPE business, and face mask business will be an add-on. Management admits initial focus on face masks instead of glove has caused delay in PPE business contribution. Management continues to fine-tune the business model. The PPE business is here to stay even post-COVID-19, as greater hygiene, applications, and awareness will create new demand for both masks and gloves. Next slide, please.
Next slide. Yeah.
Let's have a look at the face mask. Here we are, our strategy is actually positioning it locally as a premium ultraviolet individual wrapping product in the local market. For the export market, we are focusing more on the N95. N95, we have recently just got the FDA approval, and now awaiting for NIOSH, which is a National Institute of Occupational Safety and Health. They need to look through and approve the box labeling, making sure that it's in compliance and no extra claims of the labeling. And so certification has caused some delays, and the inability of getting support from suppliers located in China due to traveling ban. There were some execution challenges, that caused the delay. Face mask price control also affected our business, and obviously cheap imports of face masks of dubious quality. Now, on a positive note, the new Biden American administration face mask mandate will drive more demand in USA, we anticipate. N95, 3-ply and 4-ply masks will begin shipment starting Q1 FY 2021. As we have said previously, the previous projection is probably a bit too optimistic. Now trial gloves, let's look at it. We are viewing it as a long-term investment that will surpass the pandemic shortages to be of quality and cost focus. We have an initial capex budget of about 90 million, and we are fast tracking it since we are placing it in an existing factory in Klang. Groundworks have already started, and fabrication is on the way. We hope to start the first line by April, May of next year. We have secured MBR, the nitrile butadiene rubber latex supply. And to mitigate our investment in the glove line, we are differentiating ourselves by leasing some of the glove line to certain buyers for a period of about 24 months. That will ensure we have a faster recovery of our investment. Our production targets from May 2021 is about 200,000 boxes. And by late November 2021, we hope to do about 1.8 million boxes. Each box is 100 pieces. Now, on our trading target, management target, we are hoping to do about 2 million boxes for export from current month to end of financial year. Now, this slide is about vaccine. Will vaccines stop COVID-19? That's the topic here. We are beginning to see the fast emergence of vaccines approved for emergency applications to treat symptoms of COVID-19. And Pfizer and Moderna obviously has come out, and also the Chinese have come out with their own vaccines. Now the target is obviously to achieve 70% population coverage with, and I believe there will be many challenges. The recovery rate among nations will be different, making it that the recovery will be uneven. And reopening will be also uneven. In our assessment of how fast the recovery will be, if you are an optimist, probably by the end of 2021. If you're a pessimist, probably in 3 years' time, so the end of 2023. And in a likely scenario, it's going to be 2-3 years from now to be completely back to normal, I think. There's an outside chance that COVID-19 may evolve to be a seasonal flu. In other words, we have to learn to live with COVID-19 for a long time. Okay, next slide, please. Now I'm trying to make sense of what Notion is doing. Okay, we go through what are we trying to do. Notion is actually very mindful of using technology in all the area of our manufacture, whether it's CNC machining, in the tools, in extrusion, or in face mask, or even into glove. We will look at automation and things like that. Make ourselves more productive and being a user of technology. Although we are a high volume precision component manufacturer to MNC, we are evolving to be owner of house brand and consumer product in PPE. So that has been always an ideal vision of the owners, okay, of the founders, to own our own house brand and be owner of consumer products, made by ourselves. Okay. Trading is a new activity to break into the nitrile glove market before we do the manufacture. It gives us time to understand the market dynamics and the players. I need to clarify, CNC machining metal business will still remain core to our business. And investors must not be confused. Notion will always remain to be a tech stock and not a pure PPE stock. Okay, that's my message. Next, please.
Okay, next.
As always, risk matter. Risk is always on our mind. And in the investors' mind, they have many questions. I'm sure these are some of the questions. Some of the questions will be, is Notion late in the nitrile glove game? Will nitrile glove demand and ASP hold up when vaccine emerge and pandemic slows down? And why is there such delays, and when can we see the effects of PPE on our financials? Another possible question is, why has the business been stagnating? Is Notion on the right track? These are some of the questions I believe that are foremost in investors' mind. We take some of these questions later. I just post some of these questions so that later I can address it if you come across it. Okay. Next question. Next one.
Yeah.
This is my final slide. My final thoughts. Notion's management has always been proactive and not infallible. Okay. We take calculated risks. We also embrace failures and successes. We don't claim to be master of all. We do make mistakes. We are human. Okay. Risk and opportunity assessment is a daily occurrence. Our mindset is always focused on technology, entrepreneurship, and speed. My assessment of our situation is we are in a better position than we are at the start of the pandemic in March 2020, as we have more options now, options to move whichever direction that we think is more opportunistic, okay? And we are very optimistic for future years to be on a growth mode. Rome was not built in one day, so patience is important. And we mustn't lose our spirit. We must be bold and strong and be courageous. With that, final thought. Thank you very much.
Okay, Mr. Thoo, thank you for that. So what we're going to do is we are going to get started on some of the questions that you guys have already posted. I will go it in the questions that you guys have posted in order, and then we'll start from there. Of course, Mr. Thoo has also put in some questions there. Perhaps we can use this platform as an avenue for that discussion as well. So there's a little bit more clarity for investors, right? Okay, so I think there were a couple of questions here. This is from Jonathan Kung, right? So he's asking here, why was the French glove contract cancelled? Why was the deposit fully refunded? Could you not have partially fulfilled that order?
Yeah. The French deal, as we reported in our quarterly, we decided to terminate because number one, the customer has not complied with the terms of the contract, where the full payment was supposed to be sent to us, but only partial payment. So when we do a deal with our supplier, the quantities are actually already secured, and if you give us partial money, we really can't go ahead with the supply. So we waited, we were patient, we talked to the customer, but unfortunately they could not fulfill that part of it. So we did not want to take the risk, so that's why we move on with that.
And actually, there was another sort of question, the follow-up question from this. Would it have been better? Were you guys planning on a formal announcement, or did it really happen recently, and that's why it came out in the quarter as well?
With regard to the French deal?
Yeah.
To be perfectly honest with you, we would prefer not to have announced the deal, the trade deal with the Bursa in the first instance. But unfortunately, because the numbers were too big, and under the Bursa rule, we have to comply when it is a material transaction. So, but after this, when we are really going for the EGM for diversification into glove and trading and manufacture, this will become part of my cost of doing business. We won't be announcing it, but it will be reflected in the quarterly. The whole idea wasn't to excite investors, but really we had to comply with Bursa rules, and that's the reason why we announced it.
Okay, thanks. So we have some questions here on face masks, right? So the first question here is that with the government's new ceiling price, or I would say reduction in ceiling price of face masks, I think you already mentioned about the PPE, which has contributed 2+ million last quarter, which is in the sort of scheme of things is still quite small, right? So how will this impact the profits that you guys are expecting?
The initial focus is onto the local market for face masks, but going forward, the focus will turn to the export market, where the real focus will be on the N95. And as I explained earlier, we already got the FDA approval after going through all the tests, and that will be the main focus going forward for face masks. Although there will be inquiries from 3-ply and 4-ply masks as well. Yeah.
But would you be able to give the investors sort of a projection on what are you guys expecting, or at least trying to target for the N95?
For FY 2021, our management target is around about a 10 million ringgit per quarter sort of target initially.
Yeah. So 40 million a year, that's the target. 40 million. That's from the N95 only, or both? For that segment. For the whole segment. Okay.
We want to be more conservative.
Okay. So far, because it's a sort of follow-up question, since we're on face masks or PPE, has so far the $2 million in sales only been local, or have they been export as well?
Mainly local, actually. No, sorry, there was some export of melt-blown fabric to Indonesia.
But generally local, that's the mix.
Yes.
Okay. Would you? So this question is from JC Chin. I'm not sure if you can see. What is the capacity utilization rate right now for face masks?
It's kind of hard to say what is the capacity. I think it's a question of not just fulfilling the capacity. It's actually getting market share in the business. That's more a critical question rather than our production capability.
So considering recently you guys got the N95 approval, FDA approval, so does that mean that you guys have not been producing N95 yet? that's just waiting?
We have N95 lines in our factory, but because of the certification not being able to get, you can't really export it without certification.
Okay.
So that's also another reason why we are not showing it in the numbers.
Okay. So with the new approval, we should be seeing some.
We should be seeing in the coming quarters contribution from N95.
Okay. Okay.
On the glove side, on the trading activity, manufacturing haven't started yet, right? So we are sourcing our supply mainly from Thailand. This month we should be doing about 2 million boxes of sales out of Thailand to overseas, mainly to Europe. And the ASP is above $9 per box.
So since we're talking about gloves, so there was a question here from Sandra Cheng here. She said for 2 million box of gloves from overseas suppliers, are you able to give us guidance on what's the expected profit margin per box?
Okay, I can give you some guideline. It will be between 5 to 10% net.
Net.
Currently.
Currently, depending on what the average selling price is.
And also depending on the sort of trade deals that come through.
Okay, 5 to 10%. All right. Okay, so seeing that you have factories located in Meru right now, and it's within the vicinity of all the COVID outbreaks. Is there any risk for you guys at this point in time?
There's definitely risk because we are in the same zone as the Teratai cluster. We are not too far away. We are only about maybe 3 or 4 kilometers away from the Teratai cluster. So, but anyway, management is very concerned. We are doing all we can under the SOP, wearing masks, social distancing, no mingling, and minimize visitors. These are some of the measures we can do, and obviously making sure cleanliness and hygiene is in the workplace as well as in the living quarters.
Okay, so we kind of got the same questions. This is again from JC here, regarding just utilization, like currently, or maybe we could get an idea of what were you doing before with the 2-3 million of PPE in terms of utilizations versus where are we at right now?
I wouldn't want to put too much emphasis onto the utilization. We can produce up to 10 million pieces a month easily, but if you cannot sell more than 2 million pieces or 3 million pieces, so you can't be building up stock just like that. Yeah? So that's the main challenge actually.
Okay.
But we hope to make some inroads with our trading division, looking at better penetration in the overseas market, especially with all these CE and FDA certification coming through. That took some time, and there were delays mainly because things don't work so well during this pandemic. Yeah.
Okay. This is quite a recent question here because regarding arbitration, we understand that there have been right now there are some litigations going on, which you made the announcements.
Okay,
right?
with regard to the insurance claim, we still have a final arbitration process we are going through with the insurer. There is a need to set up a tribunal or arbitrator, which we managed to get 2 only. On the appointment of the 3rd arbitrator, it requires the AIAC, which is the ASEAN Institute of Arbitration Center based in KL. Unfortunately, the former director passed on, and the government delayed in appointing a new director, which required the director to approve the formation of the approval of the 3rd arbitrator. Now, the latest is the government says on the 1st of December, they are able to appoint a new director. So hopefully this arbitration will progress as soon as possible. Certainly, I think within the next 3 to 6 months, we should be able to conclude this part of the arbitration.
But how confident are you in getting the 31 million from this arbitration?
I cannot guarantee that we'll get 31 million, but our insurance experts have put up a case. So and we have hired 2 Queen's Counsel for the purpose of this arbitration. So we are spending top dollar to get this arbitration through. There should be some headway here. I can't tell you exactly what's going to happen.
Okay. So I think there was a question here that we have quite a few questions here. So you guys who are posting questions, keep it coming. I will try and see where I can put them kind of together so these can be follow-up questions as well. Okay, so this is from KY Chong, and I, if we look at the slides earlier, you mentioned that one of the questions is, is Notion late in the nitrile glove game? Will the nitrile glove and demand in ASP hold up when vaccines emerge and the pandemic slows down, right? So I guess this is somewhat in line with some of the questions that you posed, right? Are you really too late? You think you're too late into kind of setting up the glove lines today? And it's a manufacturing business. So how is it? The question is.
If you read some of my slides, I tend to think that this, even with vaccine coming out, I think you're still looking at about 2 to 3 years of normalization, and that's the period when we are still able to supply during this period. That's why we are proactively looking at trading first, where there's opportunity to supply before our manufacturer comes in. Secondly, we are also looking at mitigating our risk of the investment by leasing the line for 2 years, in which case we would have got back a lot of our investment and mitigate the risk.
Okay. But what is there a way that Notion can stand out and kind of compete amongst these guys who've been doing it for the last 20-25 years? What are the chances? I guess I think that's what KY Chong is asking.
Are you asking whether we have better technology?
Yeah. How do you stand out, right?
Our aim obviously is to not only just be a user of the technology. Our plan is to look at the way that the process lines are being designed and being built. And we are also going to look at some of the key components to be able to manufacture and support the thing, and look at better design. So we will be looking at all this angle.
Okay. But do you think you're too late, or do you think that still probably the outlook is still quite rosy even post-pandemic? Do you think you're too late?
It's always calculated risk. We cannot tell you exactly what we are doing is going to be ironclad guarantee that we will make money. But we have assessed the risk, and we think that it's a reasonably good bet. Even though there are at least 10 or 20 PLCs that have announced plans to JV, to extend and set up new glove line. But I think all of us will face challenges in execution. There's shortage of engineering companies supporting the setting up. The challenges to gas supply. And it depends whether you are setting up from a greenfield or actually with a ready factory. That will give you a bit more time, quicker to execute. As well as the recipe of the formulation, all this will have a bearing on how well we execute.
So, I mean, in terms of capacity for some of the viewers, what maybe can you give us a bit of outlook, because we understand it's going to start April, May, and I think you've given some guidelines. What is, say, end of next year, say a year from now, in assuming full production, how many million pieces
If
of
9
gloves?
lines fully running, each line with 200,000 boxes, we are looking at 1.8 million boxes a month, or roughly 180 million pieces per month. We multiply that by 12, we are looking at about less than 2 billion pieces a year. 1.8 million boxes per month. Depending on what sort of ASP we can get at that point in time.
Yeah.
Let's say that the ASP has come down by that time, maybe to about $7. So you multiply it by 1.8, that gives you an idea.
Okay.
Of top line.
Top line. So in terms of you are spending 90 million capex for this exercise.
Correct.
Of course, it's going to be quite significant in 1.8. So what is there a break-even level? Considering all the capex, depreciation, everything, on assuming full production, because right now you mentioned it's about $9 per box, US dollars per box. How low? What kind of buffer are we looking at?
In our leasing agreement with our buyers, we actually have a cost matrix formula where it's pegged to NBR price. So if the NBR price goes up, then the costs will flow into the customer.
Okay.
So we will basically cover, we hedge against the price inflation.
So is it spot price every month that you guys are doing for ASP when you buy up your lines?
Yes.
Or based every month calculated?
Yeah.
Okay.
But for NBR, we are hoping to get a price that is reasonably good and steady over a longer period, maybe up to 6 months.
Okay. Yeah. So I think maybe just for some of the viewers who just joined us, I think the glove lines that we're talking about actually is a different model than just producing and then selling it to distributor and line. So this is essentially leasing out those lines. That means you already have a buyer fixed, right?
Yeah.
In a way. Yeah.
And the buyer will pay upfront before the manufacturer.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So do they pay upfront upfront?
It is non-refundable.
Wow. Okay. Upfront the full amount, or?
Yes, and if you work it out onto the 24 months, you're basically adding about 60 cents USD to the per box price.
60 cents.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, if you amortize it.
Okay. Okay. So let me kind of try and put some of the glove questions together. Well, this is, I think, coming back to your face mask again. Regarding, in the early on during the pandemic, there was quite a bit of
excitement.
melt blown, just went through the roof, right? Did you guys get caught by buying any expensive raw material?
Did we get caught in buying raw material? You see, our main cost in the face mask is actually the spun bond material for the external layer as well as the spun bond for the internal area. Those are quite reasonably cheap prices. We are producing the melt blown, which is on the middle layer, which is the most important part of the face mask. Those are dependent on the PP resin price. We are not caught by any of this price escalation. More problem is actually melt blown price has come down quite a lot from its peak in March. Yeah. Yep. Something like the order in March, the melt blown price was about a couple 100,000 RMB per ton. Currently now is only about 30,000-40,000 RMB a ton. Okay. But we are still able to make it a profitable operation because the cost of our raw material PP has also come down quite a lot.
So there was a same question here from the same viewer here.
Mm-hmm.
I think it must be an analyst, I suspect, right? So in the latest quarter, there's a 10.4 mil reversal in the written down PPE, right, and stock, and 2 mil reversal of deferred tax provided previously, excluding these items. The business profit in this Q is actually a loss of 6 million. Is that right? What are your thoughts?
There is a reversal of the under the other operating income of impairment of asset down in Notion Johor. If you look at Notion Johor, which principally the EMS sector, it's then profitable. So that's why there was a reversal back into the accounts.
So would it be right to say that actually without these impairment or reversals, technically it will be a technical
I think it's correct. If you look at it from that angle, it's correct. But the most important actually is not the accounting profit. If you look at our cash flow situation, it's a healthy, positive operating cash flow.
Yeah. Okay. Let me kind of come back. Okay. So was the capex that was incurred in your latest quarter numbers for 14 million, is that all for gloves?
Partially for mask, but mostly for glove, yes.
Mostly for gloves. Okay. How about your EMS segment, machining?
EMS segment, not much of investment in the area because we already invested much earlier.
Yeah, okay.
Because the extrusion part, we already invested.
I think as you know, there's a lot of questions regarding. Even though you mentioned you want to be still position yourself as your core business of machining, we're not getting a lot of questions here on machining. So I actually want to focus a little bit on that segment. When you talk about the EMS portion, I got one question here. Let me scroll through. Okay. So this is from Dominic. Okay. So his question is a spike in EMS in your latest quarter, was it due to a backlog, which means that during the MCO, there was a big backlog and couldn't be done, and that's why there was a big sort of rise? And I guess the follow-up question is...
I attribute the jump and the spike in EMS to be both backlog catching up, as well as if you look at consumer spending during the pandemic, online sales were booming. A lot of people got nothing to do but shop online. So it's not surprising that the sales of online in our end customer actually they are quite strong in online sales.
Okay. Let me kind of... Okay, so give me a moment. So do you think this EMS growth is going to be continuous this quarter, or I mean where we are, like Q1 of 2021?
I wouldn't dare to say it's exact quarter where we will see, but if you look at financial year 2021, I would expect it to be between about maybe up to from 50 million, it could probably go up to 70 million. That's our internal target.
This for just the machining, EMS only, or?
EMS.
EMS only.
So maybe you're looking at about 40%.
So you're saying that this is likely a continuation?
Yeah.
Okay. This is a single customer EMS, you're talking about, right?
Together with the Tesla. Sorry, with the other
EV manufacturer. Okay. Okay, let me see. Okay, so let me see if there's any other questions regarding. Okay, is there any update on? And is there because just now you mentioned there was no capex for EMS, right? Is there a plant expansion in JB?
We have a 3-acre industrial land in Kalampata, vacant, which we plan to put up. The timing, I'm not particularly sure, But we are certainly looking at putting out a plant in Johor to support this EMS growth.
Is this for the new customer that you're talking about, or just?
We actually, in that segment, we have actually 3 or 4 customers.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So I guess since we talked about automotive, right? Where is it related to? Do you know the part that
It's not related to the battery or engine or the electrical part of it. From what, although the customer never disclosed to us what part of the thing, I, from our own observation, I think it's on the internal of the car, where the passengers seats are.
So is that new customer already closed and you're already producing right now?
The target is December, January production. Yeah.
Okay, so that's already you're in the works lah.
Mhm.
Okay, so I'm trying to find one regarding the machining part. There was a question recently that someone posted regarding the investment for Western Digital. Is that something that will benefit Notion?
I don't have great detail about the customer's plan because they don't but any additional investment by our major customer, obviously, I think we should have some spillover.
Okay. Okay. Let me see. So there was a mention by Sandra that she mentioned that WD is investing 2.3 billion apparently. So whether that would spill over into Notion. So could you tell us a little bit more about? You talked about, since we're talking about hard disk drives. Are we seeing a lot of growth in the base plate? You talk about base plate for enterprise.
Definitely for the enterprise high bulk storage, cheap bulk storage segment. We're seeing both customers, both the top HDD makers are investing big into that segment. So that's a good sign.
Okay, so there are some questions here regarding face the N95, right? In the previous quarter briefing, you mentioned about once you're able to obtain FDA approval for your N95, do you still have that contract in hand?
We have to review that part of that deal. I can't be certain about that deal, because the delay has been quite long. So we need to go back to the customer and see whether we can continue that part of the deal.
What are the chances?
I don't think we can commit at this point in time. Yeah.
Okay.
I just say that. Yeah.
Okay. Can your government use natural rubber? Okay, so let me see. I think we've covered some of the questions here. So maybe again on face mask, how do you market your face mask right now?
We have you mean for local market or for?
Local or international. How are you planning to distribute?
I think for local market we are quite well. We have engaged even promotion onto social media as well. Programs running to build up the brand, as well as we have online sales being conducted. Pretty good response and feedback from buyers. That is a premium product. So that's what we are positioning.
Okay, so this one is a bit forward-looking, and I think you mentioned about Notion being more of a tech play than PPE, right? So where is your main focus for Notion? Is it EMS or PPE?
We can't afford not to focus on all our segments. I mean, we cannot just say we have to focus on all segments. Actually.
Okay.
It doesn't. I don't have the luxury of just focusing on PPE or on EMS or on machining. So we have to really focus on all.
What do you foresee kind of the maybe profit segmentation from each of these three spots that you're at, you know?
For 2021, I think PPE will have a major share of the business and the major contribution. For the next 1-2 years. Then further down, I can't really tell you yet. Yeah.
Major contribution as in what kind of percentage
top
you think?
line as well as bottom line.
More than 50%, would you say? Possible.
If you use your calculator and those numbers that I just spoken to you, you just use your hand and calculate it out. I think you get a good idea what is top line. I do not want to be seen to be promoting this stock. Okay.
Yeah.
By the way, caveat, we are not promoting our stock, and please bear in mind, do your due diligence, seek advice from the proper investor analyst and fund manager before you invest. Yeah.
Of course, it's purely for educational purposes.
Purely for education.
Yeah. Okay. So no, I think probably in maybe last year when Notion went into this aluminium extrusion business, can you give us a little bit of idea how that works? Because I know part of it was used for internal purposes and then to export. What's the market looking like right now?
Aluminum price is around quite close to 2,000 USD per ton. It's picked up from about 15 to 1,600. So it's gone up quite a lot. And we depend on aluminum price. We buy the aluminum billet and we extrude it through extruder. Extruder is nothing more than a mechanical machine that actually has a plunger. And we extrude it through a die and get the shape out, either a solid tube or a section. But we are not doing section. Mainly solid bars and hollow sections. To fit in for the three segment, HDD, automotive, as well as EMS. The tubing is more for the EMS. Because they have the client has got localization objectives. They're buying from China, they want to localize it to Malaysia, so we are partnering them in that area. After this, if we find that this is a good business to be in, we will further investigate how to expand this business for other segments. Now, besides all this investment, one key factor that why we enter either glove or face mask is like this. I don't know whether you are aware. Machining metal business, for every dollar of capex, we only can get about $1 of sales a year. With our investment in glove, for every dollar of capex, we probably get about 5 times more.
Is that revenue or?
In terms of revenue.
Revenue.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's a very compelling proposition. That's the reason why we temporarily have to do this in the presence of great uncertainty. We are obviously going through recession, although the officially they didn't say so yet. But I'm pretty sure we are in the deepest of recession.
Yeah, we definitely are in a recession. Globally.
Globally.
Yeah.
No country is.
Okay. So this again on the face mask. Would you like to maybe address? Is the focus really on face masks for Notion, or is it more?
If you listen to what I just said earlier in my slide presentation,
yeah,
I see the cornerstone is in glove.
Yeah.
and the face mask is an add-on. So the focus will be more because of glove.
Yeah.
We admit that we initially focus on mask before we focus on glove. Simply because we thought that the execution time takes a longer. We did exploit in March, but we waved it aside. We went into mask first, but in hindsight, we should have done the other way around. But it's something that we have made mistakes along the way.
Okay. So is there any timeline for, I think that's halal certification and also
Halal certification is in the process, hampered again by the CMCO. Certain meetings were not moving along as planned, but it's in the pipeline.
Okay.
It's more for the Middle East market.
So there was this question here regarding from SP here. Because we're seeing what's happening with of course Top Glove, with the factories being shut down, but I think less to do with the business, but being able to manage the workers, right? Is Notion very reliant on foreign workers?
We have in the Klang area we have about 1,000 over foreign workers. In Thailand we have about close to 600 to 800 workers. We are very reliant on foreign workers. Although we have locals, it's a challenge. Yeah, sure.
So is that possible that we will see? Because how do we not repeat like what we're seeing today?
What we can learn from the experience in the cluster that we see in our neighbor there, we have to be very careful that when we plan for any future business, whether in glove or in mask, that the standards for housing, for labor, and all these are addressed carefully. Yeah. It will be an issue if you do not address it.
It's not a sure thing, it's not easy to manage that.
No, it's just a matter of management, HR, making sure that we certain standards are met in the housing. In terms of space, in terms of facility, in terms of cleanliness, in terms of no overcrowding.
Okay.
It can be done. It's just a matter of cost. Yeah.
So
So in a sense, if you are a small player, it's easier to organize this than if you are a big player.
So when it comes to setting up your glove factories, which we believe you've already started, that work has already begun, right? So there was a question here from Jonathan Kung as well. Is the timeline realistic? April, May? Is that a realistic timeline to start from ground zero and actually get into production by then?
We are engaging. We have already awarded contract to one single contractor for 3 lines first. We are considering another contract for another contractor for another 3 lines. The balance, most likely, we will be building ourselves.
Oh, okay. So you got 9 lines in total. Yeah. Okay. So are you saying that all 9 lines will be up and running by May, April?
It will be staggered one month coming in.
And in terms
it's not all at the same time.
Not at the same time. So by May, April, what are you expecting? 3?
May, I think we are expecting 1 or 2 lines.
1 or 2 lines. Okay. Of course, by the end of next year, it will be completed. Yes. That's the target.
Yeah. November is our target.
Okay. Okay. So just to give you guys some color on the gloves. There seems to be a lot of questions on the gloves, but not, I guess, enough on EMS. But I guess we've covered quite a fair bit here. Now, I think Leong Ki, we're not allowed to give you any target prices. So today is really just an update on the business. Okay, there's no target price update. I can't tell you. Mr. Tu won't be able to tell you legally as well. Okay, so with the information that you're getting today, you have to decide whether it's something that you do want to look into, right? Of course, we have Mr. Tu here every quarter.
I think it's common knowledge. If you buy sport gloves now in the market, it's all above $10 per box. Yeah. Unless you do pre-ordering, and then that will be lower. But then it takes time to get the production.
Okay. So back to the extrusion business. Can we state that your existing aluminium extrusion business is only to cater for Notion's use right now?
Currently, it's for our own in-house use because we used to buy it from local supplier and overseas. So it's to control quality as well as control pricing. That if we get a better product for our own manufacture. It was also a learning curve. We need to learn it up and build up our skill before we can offer it to the public in the public market. The market.
Okay. Okay. So I think we've kind of answered. So there was one question here: is there anything that keeps you awake at night?
Is there anything that keeps you awake? Well, there are always issues you want to consider. But I can sleep well. I have no problem sleeping.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. So I think if there are any other questions, we're happy to post it below. We are coming to about an hour where we are today. Of course,
the slides are slides are available on our website IR section. So feel free to go and download it. Maybe by tomorrow it should be up there, or even maybe Equities Tracker can help us.
Yeah, so it's also available on Equities Tracker as well. So you guys can just send us a WhatsApp at 603-8408-2070. Do you guys want to switch the camera on? So the number will be 603-8408-2070. Send us a WhatsApp. We have a dedicated WhatsApp number that's set up to download any of these slides and quarterly briefings that we actually do. So just remember to save that number. Now, okay, maybe a last two questions here. Okay. For the new EV customer, EV stands for electric vehicle. For those of you not familiar, is there anything that you can sort of share with us regarding this contract? Is it long term? What potentially? I think what kind of value are you looking at?
Okay. EV, the particular part that we are supplying is the aluminum part. It's roughly about 500,000 pieces per month. I would think that yes, the sales should be in the 1.5 to 2 million per month sort of level of sales. Gross targeting maybe around about 20% or something like that. Yeah.
So 1.5
to 2 million.
2 million per month.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Is it long term? To get, the automotive industry, safety is the most important thing because you can't afford the callback. Callback is very expensive. So to qualify to supply it takes a lot of groundwork and confidence in our manufacturer to be able to get the contract. Barrier entry is not easy.
Do you think that you got this contract because you are already in the automotive segment?
Both in the automotive segment as well as in the EMS segment, I think have given us a little bit of advantage.
Okay, so some guidance here, whether possible or not. Since you say generally, we're quite upbeat on a few of these sectors. I think you mentioned EMS earlier. Do you think we can sustain these kind of numbers throughout the next quarter, as in your October to December? Oh, October, November, December, yeah.
Compared to which quarter?
Compared to your last quarter, the up to September. So is what your latest quarterly results, is it something that you see that is possible again in the next quarter? Do you think it's more positively, or?
I'm an optimist guy. I think you see quarter-on-quarter growth from now onwards.
From now onwards?
Yeah.
Okay.
Mainly from the trading side.
All right.
Both of the mask and mainly from the glove as well.
Okay.
Because we have to fulfill the contract this month, next month. We have current deals, trades in the pipeline.
So is it the trading from your trading gloves profit? Was that captured in your Q4 as well?
No.
Nothing was captured.
Because the trading division only started more than 2-3 months.
2-3 months, okay. So we're going to actually see the numbers for this quarter for
quarter
the trading.
FY 2021, we should see it, and going forward should increase quite substantially.
Okay. Okay, so probably before we end.
Don't ask me exact number because I'm not. Musa don't like us to forecast.
Okay. So are you still learning curve for your face mask at Melbourne, or you think you've kind of gone past that and
Let me tell you what's happened. Okay, I shared openly. We bought many machines from China. Mainly most of the machines come from China. Some suppliers are more responsible, some are not so responsible. So some of the machines that we bought have shortcomings. We had to spend time upgrading, changing motors, electricals that give way during the manufacture. So, and then motor sensors, all these have to be improved so that we can have a steady type of manufacture. We are not the only one who are facing this sort of problem. I think anybody during this period of time who ordered from China will face a similar problem. The unfortunate part was the Chinese supplier, they cannot send their engineers over here. Neither can we send our engineers to China. So that really is a stumbling block. Now, onto the melt blown, I would say we are quite successful in that area. We play around with the formulation, play around with the spin red. Spin red is where the nozzles come out. We have a pretty good handle on melt blown. Yeah.
Okay, thank you for that. Okay, look, we are kind of closing in. We're almost an hour and 15 minutes in. I hope you guys all had found this session interesting. Of course, Mr. Thoo would love to have you back next quarter.
Sure.
All right, to give us an update on anything else. Don't forget at 8 p.m. For those who are Genius subscribers, we have a Chinese session happening at 8 p.m. right after this on Facebook. So do tune in as well. Tomorrow we'll be back with Future Proof, where Andrew will be talking about something tech related, right? So do tune in. Otherwise, for those Genius subscribers, don't forget this Friday at 8 p.m. we have the managing director of D&O that's also be appearing at our club meeting. So don't forget to join us at 8 p.m. Of course, if you'd like to download any of these slides here, you can download it at 603-8408-207. Otherwise, very much thank you all for joining us. Give us comments if you like this new format that we're doing it, because it's kind of face-to-face. It's a bit more personal, right? If you guys like it, just put in a comment section below, or how we can improve, post in a comment section below. Otherwise, don't forget to like and subscribe our YouTube channel or Facebook page as well. Otherwise, from all of us here at Equities Tracker, thank you very much for tuning in again. And we hope to see you guys at the next session. All right. Good night and bye-bye.
Yeah. Bye-bye.
All right.
Thank you.